Early life and background. Osama bin Laden was born on March 10, 1957, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, into a wealthy and influential family. His father, Mohammed bin Laden, was a powerful construction magnate with close ties to the Saudi royal family. Osama grew up surrounded by privilege, strong religious teaching, and access to elite education. After his father died in a plane crash, the family fortune was divided, leaving Osama with a large inheritance that later enabled his activities. Education and ideological roots. As a young man, bin Laden was quiet, reserved, and deeply religious. He studied economics and management at King Abdulaziz University. During his studies, he became influenced by Islamist scholars and political ideas that framed global events as attacks on the Muslim world. Wars, foreign military presence, and political instability gradually hardened his views and shaped his radical beliefs. The Afghan War. In 1979, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan became a defining moment. Bin Laden traveled to the region, viewing the conflict as a religious obligation. Using his wealth, he funded the training camps, supply networks, and recruitment efforts for fighters. Though not a frontline commander at first, his organizational role and financial support earned him respect and influence among militant groups. Rising status and confidence. The Soviet withdrawal reinforced bin Laden's belief that faith could defeat powerful nations. He returned to Saudi Arabia with growing confidence, but his extremist ideas conflicted with the government. His criticism of regional leadership and foreign influence caused tension, leading authorities to restrict his activities and influence. Exile and Expansion. The 1990 Gulf War deepened the divide. Bin Laden strongly opposed foreign troops in Saudi Arabia, calling their presence unacceptable. As a result, he left the country and settled in Sudan. There, he invested in businesses, built militant infrastructure, and expanded connections across the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. Formation of Al-Qaeda. In the mid-1990s, bin Laden helped establish Al-Qaeda, an organization focused on global jihad rather than local conflicts. Its mission was to confront Western influence through coordinated attacks. Bombings of US embassies in Africa brought worldwide condemnation and placed him at the center of international counterterrorism efforts. September 11th. The attacks of September 11, 2001 marked the most devastating chapter associated with bin Laden. Coordinated hijackings in the United States killed thousands and shocked the world. Evidence confirmed Al-Qaeda's responsibility, triggering the War on Terror and a global hunt for bin Laden. Years in hiding. After 2001, bin Laden lived in secrecy, relying on trusted couriers and remote safe houses. His operational control weakened as Al-Qaeda faced sustained military pressure. Despite this, his symbolic influence remained strong among extremist circles, while global condemnation intensified. Death and legacy. On May 2, 2011, Osama bin Laden was killed during a US military operation in Abbottabad, Pakistan. His death ended a long pursuit. His legacy is defined by violence and loss, and his actions reshaped global security, foreign policy, and modern history. Understanding his life helps explain how ideology and conflict can create lasting worldwide consequences. Personality and private life. Those who knew bin Laden described him as disciplined, soft-spoken, and highly controlled in public. He lived simply despite wealth, often emphasizing modesty and obedience. He married multiple times and had many children, whom he reportedly taught strict religious practices. His private lifestyle contrasted sharply with the global impact of his decisions. Communication and propaganda. Bin Laden understood the power of messaging. He released recorded statements and videos aimed at supporters and critics alike. These messages framed violence as defense and attempted to justify attacks through selective religious language. Governments worldwide worked to counter this propaganda, viewing it as a recruitment and radicalization tool. Global response. After 2001, international cooperation against terrorism expanded rapidly. Intelligence sharing, surveillance, and military operations increased across continents. Bin Laden became a central symbol of extremist violence, and many nations tightened security laws. Civil liberties debates intensified as governments balanced safety with personal freedom. Impact on the Muslim world. Bin Laden's actions caused deep division within Muslim societies. Many religious leaders condemned his interpretation of faith and rejected violence. His campaigns brought suffering to Muslim populations through wars, displacement, and instability. The gap between extremist ideology and mainstream belief became increasingly visible. Historical interpretation. Historians continue to debate how a man of privilege embraced extremism. Some point to geopolitical conflict, others to ideological influence and personal ambition. What remains clear is that individual choices, combined with global tensions, can alter history in destructive ways. Final reflection. Osama bin Laden's story is not one of heroism, but of radicalization and consequence. Studying his life helps expose how narratives of grievance can evolve into violence. Remembering this history is essential to preventing future cycles of extremism and loss. International manhunt. For nearly a decade, intelligence agencies searched relentlessly for bin Laden. Surveillance technology, human intelligence, and financial tracking were used worldwide. Small clues, including courier movements, slowly narrowed his location. This pursuit became one of the longest and most expensive manhunts in history. Symbolism and myth. Over time, bin Laden became more symbol than strategist. His image was used by extremist groups to inspire loyalty, even as his direct control faded. This mythologizing complicated counterterrorism efforts, as ideology often survived the loss of leadership. Media and public memory media coverage shaped how the world perceived bin Laden. Images, headlines, and repeated footage fixed his role in public memory. For many, his name became synonymous with fear, while for others, it served as a warning of unchecked extremism. Lessons for the future. The rise and fall of Osama bin Laden demonstrates how unresolved conflict, misinformation, and radical ideology can intersect. Addressing root causes such as political instability and social injustice remains critical. History shows that military force alone cannot eliminate extremist beliefs. Effect on global security policy. In response to bin Laden's network, governments restructured intelligence agencies and military doctrine. Airport security, border controls, and digital surveillance expanded dramatically. New alliances formed, while regional conflicts intensified. These changes continue to influence international relations and public life today. Controversies and debate. Even after his death, debates continue regarding counterterrorism methods used to stop bin Laden. Questions about legality, ethics, and long-term effectiveness remain. These discussions highlight the complexity of confronting extremist threats while upholding international law and moral responsibility. Cultural and educational analysis. Universities, analysts, and educators study bin Laden's life to understand pathways to radicalization. His case is used to examine propaganda, identity crises, and geopolitical influence. Education and open dialogue are often cited as long-term tools to counter extremist narratives. Enduring questions. Why some individuals choose violence remains a difficult question. Bin Laden's story shows that wealth and education do not prevent extremism. Addressing these questions is essential for building safer and more resilient societies worldwide.
For more powerful stories from history, subscribe to Legacy by MAO. Your support truly matters.